My name is Albert Reese. My branch of service was the Army, and it was the 6th Engineer Special Brigade. We were amphibious. Amphibious means that you make landings. You go from the water onto land. And we were the ones that established the beach on Omaha. Yeah. I was in high school. I was a senior in high school when they bombed Pearl Harbor. No, I was a junior in high school when they bombed Pearl Harbor. And my thoughts were it was a bad thing and we were at war. I had listened to the radio quite a bit, and I realized that we were going to be at war, and that meant that quite possibly I would have to go. But that was about a year and a half off at that time, yes. And in a year and a half, when I was 18, just a little over 18, why, I did get to go. I was drafted. I volunteered originally for the Navy, but my teeth weren't good enough, and they told me to go home and get my teeth fixed, and they'd take me. So I went home, and I come home, and I got my teeth fixed. And then in March of '43, they drafted me. I could have signed up for anything I wanted, I guess, when I went down, but 17 of us went down there, and they said, let's all sign up for the Army, and some of us will get together. None of us did. The Army had different ideas than we did. Yeah, but that's the way that went. Yeah. I took my basic training out in Camp Young, which is the Desert Training Center out in California. We left there and went down to Fort Pierce, Florida, and took training on amphibious landings. And that's when we were training. We didn't know it at the time, but we were training to go into Normandy. We trained there from September till January. In January we went up to Camp Shanks and went overseas. We landed at Dorchester, England, and we were transported on down then to Torquay. And in Torquay we were billeted with the people that lived there. I and two other fellows stayed with the Davis family. And one time a day, we would meet at the, it was actually 3 times a day. We met at our kitchen and had our meals. And there they gave us our orders as to what we would do that day. Every 2 weeks, we were in Torquay, and then we would go out and make a practice landing on the English coast. The place that we made our landings was called Slapton Sands. In April, before the invasion, we were making an invasion on Slapton Sands, practice. And E-boats came out from France, and they sunk a couple of our LSTs that was in the convoy that we had. And we didn't have any protection. They had failed to send us the proper protection to keep us safe. And they sank those LSTs, and we lost 700 men altogether. Our battalion lost one whole company. And we went ahead and made the practice, but it was kept quiet for 43 years until an Englishman seen a tank out there that had surfaced. And he wondered why it was there. And he got inquiring into it and found out what had happened. And then it became very much noted. They have a monument over there to the boys that we lost, but it took quite a fight to get that monument put there. They wanted to keep everything quiet. They say now that they didn't, but they did. They wanted to keep everything quiet. And then at that time, there was a good reason for it, because that beach was quite similar to what it was in Normandy when we landed. And they didn't want the Germans to know where we were going to land. So it was understandable what they done, but I think it should be included in the overall picture of the invasion of Normandy, because we lost those boys practicing for that invasion. In June, we made we left our billets and we went to the marshalling area, and they showed us the sand table and everything of the invasion, where we would land and everything in Normandy. And after they showed us the sand table, they put English guards around us to make sure that we didn't get out, to let anything out that was going on, because back then nothing was told about what was happening. Anymore they tell everything, but they didn't do that back then. And finally we loaded onto our landing craft, and we were supposed to land on the 5th, but the channel was too rough. So we come back in and stayed. Then on the 5th, Eisenhower gave the order for us to go ahead and go. So on the morning of June the 6th, we were off the coast of France. Crossing was pretty rough, and I crossed on an LCM, which is landing craft mechanized. And we had a 6x6 on there, and the channel was, as I say, rough. So I got up on top of the 6x6 to sleep. The next morning, my wake-up call was the big ships firing over the top, firing for the beach. So we circled around out there till, well, I fixed my breakfast that morning up in the prow of the landing craft. Lit a can of shoe dubbing. 3 or 4 of us did. Lit a can of shoe dubbing, and heated our coffee on that, and ate our breakfast, which was sea rations. We had a box of them on there. We also was carrying D rations and stuff like that, which was supposed to last us 3 days. And the landing started about 6:30, and about between 2 and 3 that afternoon, we went in. And the beach was, they had opened up the opening to go up over the top of that time. And so we went up, we were on the beach for quite a while, but finally we decided we had to move off the beach because the firing was too great, and there was a pretty good chance of not surviving it. So we moved on up, got up on top, and at that time we were only as far in as the village of St. Laurent. And so we stayed there that night, and the next day went the length of the beach of Omaha Beach to go down to the next little town, which was, right now I forgot the name of it, but it was on the other end, it would be, I believe, on the west end of the Omaha Beach. Take that back, it was on the east end of Omaha Beach. It's over to our right. And it would be the next town to Pointe du Hoc, which is where the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalion went up the cliff to get up to the Germans and get up to the big guns. And we established the beach, and on going the length of the beach, there were approximately 3,000 men killed on that beach. It was quite a trip. But our main objective for us was to take the people that came in off the beach and make sure that they got with the outfit they were supposed to be with, because an outfit did not come in all together. They came in bits and pieces. So we established a bunch of fields, and we put those people out there in those fields until we got enough of them, and they had a place in the line to put them. And so that's what we did up till about September. And in September we moved out and went on up and guarded the pipeline going up from Cherbourg, France, up to Patton on the front lines. And we guarded that night and day to make sure they had gasoline. And that pretty well took care of us up until we moved on up to Reims, which is where the war ended. And I've skipped over anything that was bad because I don't think that that's necessary to tell in the story of my career in service. But I was up to Reims, and they decided that they were the war was ended, and so they decided that they needed some of us over in Philippine Islands, and I was put in an outfit that hadn't been over very long. I'd been overseas for at that time about 18 months, but they put a bunch of us that were physically fit and everything in outfits that hadn't been over very long, and they told the people in the United States that they were people had been over very long and was coming through America, United States, and getting furloughs. But I didn't get any furlough. We went through the Panama Canal and went over, and I wound up in the Philippine Islands. In the Philippine Islands, I was with the Engineer Parts and Supply Depot. And so I stayed there with them, and we served our time with them. And I would have been in on the invasion of Japan had we invaded Japan. So I wasn't a bit upset when they dropped the atomic bomb. And I never have been, because that saved a lot of lives. It saved Japanese lives and it saved American lives. Yeah. Yeah. I came home in January of 1946. Got married and lived happily ever after. Yeah. But that's my story of my time in service.